So this video is just an update for anyone out there who might be interested in what's going on in our lives in the last few weeks. About a month ago, we took possession of a small property just outside of the small township of Atyrá. So that's really caused us to move up our gear, and we've been very busy. But in the meantime, we've had a few other things that have propped up. We've had some mechanical issues. One of our cats has been run over by a car. I've had food poisoning. But thankfully, we've moved through all those little hiccups and now we're cooking with gas. But the purpose of this video is just to let you know about that, and also just announce that we've decided in regards to our project, I was kind of trying to think about how to share that information and how much of it we wanted to make public. But I thought a lot about it and I've come to the conclusion that it's really worth just sharing pretty much the journey with you, because we've purchased pretty much a blank canvas. It's a small property, only 1,600 square metres, with a structure on it. But we're having to do a lot of things to it. So it's going to be an ideal opportunity just to see how that goes for us. But it'll also give an insight into some of the different ways that things are done here. Because the structure is made of bricks and mortar and it didn't have any sort of fence, I thought that in this case it was better to get some help from a local contractor. I would usually do a lot of that stuff myself, but by the time you source those materials, you pay the price that may be reserved for you as a foreigner, get them to your property and then get the work done, you're probably better off in a lot of cases to find a trustworthy contractor and get it done. So in this case, I happen to be good friends with a local contractor here, a good mate of mine. We've got a great crew. So in this instance, I've decided to get him in and to do a lot of the work on the property. So that's kind of cool because I really love this guy. He's got some awesome fellas working for him. So it's nice to see us generating a bit of work for them. But also it's really interesting to see the level of handiwork, because although I've had a bit of experience with building, it's mainly been in regards to wood framing and the sort of materials that you can access in the places that I've come from. But here they do things quite differently, particularly in the way that they build a fence, for instance. It's really different to anything that I'd been exposed to. The structure that we have purchased is kind of an interesting sort of project, and it requires a fair bit of brickwork and, you know, some bits and pieces that I haven't had a lot of experience in terms of that sort of work. So thankfully my friend has got some really skilled guys on his payroll and they've really been making some great progress. So in this few weeks we've been taking videos, so the progress has been recorded. The first of these videos will be the one that follows just now, and that'll show you pretty much the blank canvas of what we've purchased. And then in the coming days, I'll make some follow-up videos to show you how they're going about building the fence and how we're going to construct some further aspects of the dwelling and just bits and pieces. It's going to be really, I think, interesting to at least some people out there. And if nothing else, it'll give anyone that's coming to Paraguay at least a bit of a feel for the different ways that things are done here, or at least one of the different ways that things are done. But in addition to that, the actual structure that we purchased is quite unique. I've never actually seen anything quite like it. It's a shipping container, but the way that it's been constructed is really quite unusual. And when I first came across it, I thought to myself, what do you do with this? Because I wanted to make it suitable for us as a small family, and it's not something I've had a lot to do with in terms of shipping container type constructions. I've seen them, particularly back in the former place I lived, there was a fair bit of it going on, but nothing quite set up like this. So when we first came across it, I was a bit beside myself thinking, well, what do you do with this? But I think we've come up with some pretty nifty ideas, and I suspect that it's going to result in a really cool end product. So anyone out there that might be interested in the potential of doing something with a shipping container, because there can be some complications and some unexpected hazards when it comes to working with shipping containers, I think that this project will be interesting, because one of the things is, due to the freedom that we have in the way that we can construct things, you'll see that there's a structure over this container that is kind of interesting, and it sort of takes away a lot of the hassles that can come with shipping containers, because not infrequently, if you build with a shipping container, you have issues regarding potential leakage, and you've got that square structure that somehow you need to sort out in terms of rain and condensation and all that sort of stuff. But the way that this project is set up, at least some of those things may be overcome. But I'm not guaranteeing it's without its hiccups, because with any unique building project, you can always encounter things and unexpected hurdles along the way, but that's all part of the fun. It's just good to at least see at least one way of doing things, because the one thing that almost all of us have got in common is that we live in a house. So it's probably in our best interest somewhere along the line to get a bit of an idea of how our houses are constructed or how they could be done better, particularly if you're coming to a country like Paraguay, because there's not a cookie cutter simple solution in terms of coming and just saying, right, I'm going to build something cool. You want to get your head around some of the issues relating to building methods here. I'm going to be really interested to see how the end result pans out. Could be something that's a viable alternative maybe for others, because I have particular preferences in terms of the way I like buildings to be done, or my plans or aspirations for buildings that I'd like to do in the future. And this wouldn't have been one of them, but it's just going to be a cool project to get across the line and just see what we can do with this thing. And I think it'll also be interesting for you, because when you look at it, you might go, well, I wouldn't have done that. I would have done that differently. Why is he doing that? That didn't work out the way he thought it would, or that's a complete disaster. What on earth is he doing? Whatever it is, for better or worse, I think that these kind of experiences are probably worth sharing for someone out there. So let's just see how that pans out. Your guess is as good as mine, but I'm going to be trying the best at this end to make it work. I reckon it's going to be really cool, but either way, we're going to have fun trying, aren't we? So stay tuned. Here comes the video in regards to the initial footprint that we took over, and in coming days, look out for more videos in regards to various aspects of the build and just how they do things here. Like always in Paraguay, there'll be a few surprises. Stay tuned. So a few weeks after finalising the deal on this property, here we are. Just started yesterday. The boys have arrived. We're putting in quite a munty fence actually, and so they've really got to it just yesterday. They've got this far, so they're really ploughing through it. They don't muck around. So the plan is to put the fence up and then to start work on the building, and I'll show you around that in a minute. So we're just turning our mind to what we're going to do with the rest of the property, because there's so many options, and when you get a blank canvas, you sort of, sometimes you got to really sort through a million different ways of doing things and come up with the right one, because there's a lot to think about. And the burden that I find is just the concept of doing something and then thinking later, oh, we should have done this or we shouldn't have done that. So I would rather take our time and just really come up with a solution that we know is right and the best way to go, or one of the best ways to go, because no doubt about it, no matter what you do, there'll be something that you could have done better or you wish you'd done differently. So that's all good. It's just part of the journey. But man, these guys have really smashed into it. And when you actually work out the cost of getting people in to do stuff like this here in Paraguay, you realise that for these sort of back-breaking things, I would prefer to get the boys in and just get it done. But really happy with that progress. It's going to be good once it's all fenced in, then we can bring some other things to the property, and I'm just telling my thoughts to what we're going to do here. I'm obviously going to have to bring some equipment and stuff, but I don't really want to bring anything here until I'm reasonably confident about our perimeter. Although I think that this is a pretty safe area in terms of break-ins and things. Who knows? You can't be totally sure anywhere. We've got some great neighbours here. And on the other side, we've got no neighbours. But there's quite a bit of passing traffic, so you never know who's watching out. And the design of this place is such, it's quite interesting. The breeze comes from this direction generally. And so the way it's been designed is that it's up on really serious foundations. And I'll just go around the other side and show you how the air is moving through. And so over summer, the sun really doesn't get much of a show around here. So this is generally shaded. So this doesn't really act as a thermal mass so much, particularly once we get that overhang. This won't see any direct sun whatsoever. It doesn't really now. So this will remain quite cool, and so it will underneath there. So what that means is when the breeze is coming through in the summer, it'll be moving underneath that house, that structure. And what we've got is a vent system at the moment. So the breeze comes up and flows through. And when I first saw that, I thought, oh, is that, really going to do much? But actually, when you stand here, particularly on a warm day, it really does breeze up through, and it gives you a really nice sort of cool breeze, which is really cool, so to speak. And I think that we're going to be able to do something really interesting with that. Obviously, we'll have to think about something in the winter months because you don't want that cool breeze blowing there. We could probably in some way create a cover for it or something. I don't know, but definitely in the summer, it's a nice feature. We might put some sort of insect defense mesh or something underneath it. We're going to have to do something with it. I'm not entirely happy with the way it is now, but I do like the concept, and I think it's got a lot of merit, and it's going to be really fun to play with that. Just going in to the container. It's pretty raw in its current state. Nice and dry though, and that's a great thing because it's under total cover like this. It doesn't have any issues relating to water getting on it, and that's one of the main issues. Water and exposure to the sun can make container houses really challenging, but with this large roof, that's overcome, so it's not a problem. And so it's really pleasant in here. And then just going into the bathroom. The bathroom's style is in the same sort of theme, and I think from the same materials as the monastery. It's got this interesting kind of vaulted roof, which I assume is from the architect who I believe may have been Italian. I don't really know. fully about the history of it. I'll get more details as we go on, but that is the bathroom. It's all functional, it's all working and stuff, so it's all good. I might do a bit of moving around and change some of the cabinets and things, but you know, it is a bathroom and it works, which is nice. One less thing that we have to really do it in the immediate term. It's got aircon, as you can see there. And what we're going to do, I think, is put some skylights up on the roof. Probably 3 skylights. And the plan is, this end will be a bedroom. We're going to build a brick wall here and a sliding door. And the same with this end. So we'll do the same thing. So there'll be bedroom and bedroom at each end. And then in the middle will be a living area. And that then will come out here. We'll be cutting out space here. So it'll be kind of open plan. And you'll come out here and this is going to be built in. There'll be a window here and a couple of windows here. A window, a door, and then another window, I think, the way that we've designed it. And then there'll be a stairway leading down here. And this will be an outside cooking, asado, pizza oven, outdoor area, really pleasant area to be hanging around in. We're going to get rid of some of this foliage and stuff and just clean it up. That should be really awesome. So that's kind of the start of the whole project. We're really excited about it because when we first came across the property, I was like, oh, weird the way it's done. But then it gradually came to my mind that there's so much potential. And the more I thought about it, the more I liked the way it was set up. And I realised that with some changes, I think it could be super cool and a great project. Not only that, is it leaves us a nice bit of land to do something interesting, something that we enjoy doing. And that is what we were really looking for. We're looking for something that we could call home, but then something that also gave us some latitude to have some space. We're just on the very outskirts of the town of Atyrá, only a number of hundreds of metres back into the actual township. And this land here is owned by the monastery. To the best of our knowledge and research, they have confirmed that this land is pretty much to be maintained as an asset for that organisation. There's no plans to subdivide it or whatever. Again, you cannot be sure of anything in this world, but that's the current state of things. And there's a lot of other subdivisions and pieces of land available around here, so I think it would be questionable as to whether it would be worth further subdividing that. There's literally hundreds of lotties that are available within a few kilometres of here, so I don't know if that's a space that is really needing any more competition. And just across the road is a plantation of, I think they're eucalypts, and they look like they've got some more growing to do. So it's a nice vista. It's got a bit of a channel cut through, so we get a bit of a view of the sun as it sets. The only experience I had with shipping containers was in New Zealand, and I knew a number of people who had experimented with them, had essentially made them dwellings. And the general consensus that I had been exposed to there in regards to shipping containers were that they were a lot of hard work, and that generally with everything that went into them, you're probably better off just to build something rather than have a shipping container. And the overwhelming issue with them was because they're exposed to the elements in New Zealand, you've got things like water sitting on the roof and moisture and condensation and all that sort of thing. And that seemed to be the reoccurring theme of problems that I'd hear about when people would talk about shipping containers. But looking at this, it totally addresses those issues because the shipping container doesn't get exposed to the elements. I'm going to put some sort of extraction system on the roof so that any moisture or condensation will be vented out to keep it really dry. But I think that this overhang really solves the problems of what I'd heard from others who have dabbled in shipping container dwellings. And if you look up there, there's really a significant gap which provides really nice airflow across and over the top of the shipping container, which is very nice and will really promote thermal efficiency. The sun will pretty much be taken care of by the skin, and then cool air will flow over the top of the container because that part's going to be built out. So by the time the air gets in and over the container, the plan is that will be a bit cooler. And so that roof should stay relatively cool even in the hot part of the year, because none of the container is actually being exposed to sun. So it's not soaking up that heat. By the time we finish this project, we'll have a pretty decent estimate as to what it would cost to fully build something like this. So that'll be worthwhile for anyone out there that's thinking about maybe looking at doing something like this, but it's going to be fun anyway. And you know what the best part is? Because we're just out of town here, we don't have to worry about Mr. Plod with his checklist and book of instructions to tell us what we can and can't do. We can do whatever we like here, for better or worse. And so that gives us an incredible amount of latitude. And what it also reinforces to me is that when people are left to their own devices, they can do some pretty cool things. This building here isn't going to fly away or fall over in a hurry. So funny enough, when you haven't got Mr. Plod with his clipboard, people can still do some cool things and actually afford to do them, which is nice. And I think it's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to hanging out here. And the other thing that we're looking at doing is probably putting a pool in. So the idea is to have maybe a pool here and then a dwelling up where those fellas are standing, just about, and some sort of bamboo and maybe food forest of some sort. That's going to be really awesome. There you have it. Work in motion. Another load of stone coming in. I don't muck around. Straight into it. And the thing that makes me laugh sometimes is I hear people say, oh, people in places like Paraguay, they don't know how to work. We'll come out and spend the day with these boys. They tend to sit around a bit and drink some tereré, but they're getting shit done. And I think the fella that's running this crew is really on the ball and he keeps things ticking over. We know very firmly what the sort of budget is for this, so It's not like they're on some sort of endless ticket. They've got a job to do and there's a price that's being paid for it. So it's all systems go. I'll keep you up to date on the progress here, and I think that we'll see some big changes in a fairly short space of time. It's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned.
The home that you built, the sweetness in my veins, we could survive